What's good? This your boy Internal Sadist, and I'm gonna talk about CDC rape statistics that I've been reading and researching for a very very long time, for the most part. Um, and it's basically both men and women. The rape statistics on both men and women, and the rough estimates on how many every year get raped and stuff like that, or some form of rape. Let it be a attempted rape or actual rape, basically how many victims of each crime every year for the most part. I'm gonna start off with women, then I'm gonna do men second. And I think a lot of people will find this very interesting at the end of the day. And I find it very interesting. According to the CDC, about 20% of women are victim. Only 28% of women are victims of heterosexual rape. That sounds like a decent number, but let that sink in for a minute. 48% of women are victims of bias uh, or, or or victims of same-sex rapes for the most part. So 28% of women are victims of male on female rape, and 48% of women are actually victims of woman on woman rape. Let that sink in for a little bit. Let that swirl around in your head. Literally, 48% of women are victims of 40% of women are victims of female on female rape. Female on female rape. That's that's a lot of women, basically. That's a lot of women. And 28% of them are victims of male on female rape. As it goes on, basically it goes on. At the end of the day, the victims of rape go on to produce 32,000 pregnancies nationally amongst women each year from rape. They're not given a rough estimate on how many women are raped every year, but they do give a rough estimate. They do give a rough estimate on men who are raped every year. Men in the United States, the funny thing about the whole entire thing, I was looking and laughing, is they don't actually give the actual number of women who actually rape men in the United States, but it does have a category for men of rape of men by women, females basically, males by females, and it doesn't actually give an actual number. It basically just glosses over it and it talks about a couple cases basically, but apparently it's higher than that, but they're not actually given a number according to the reading. However, it does say it does give you this chilling number. Men 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 are raped at a grand total of 92,748 men per year are raped in the United States. Let that sink in. With a small majority of those being with a small majority, only 30% of those actually being men on men. Like, let that shit sink in. Only 30% of those are men on men crimes. So there's a large chunk of men being raped numbers missing because they're not giving up the actual number of men who are raped by females anywhere. They talked about a fine. They talked about another thing. They basically dance around the whole entire thing and don't actually give you a number of females who rape women. But they do say about 92,000 men a year are raped in the United States. Only 30% of those are gay men who are raped in the United States. Only 30%. So 30% of 92 is what? Which leaves about what, like a good 60 odd thousand men? A good 50 odd, 50 odd, 60 odd something thousand men, 50 or 60 odd thousand men that are raped by females in the United States. Interesting, isn't it? How they leave out the information and he won't actually give you a number, and you literally have to do the actual math to figure out how many men aren't raped by men in the United States. They don't talk about none of that shit in here. They leave that shit out. They talk about one or two cases. They basically talk about there was a fine levied at a woman for $7,000, $75,000. But the sad part about that is they don't actually put the numbers. They don't actually put numbers on how many men are raped by women by every year for the most part. They don't have a number at all. But they do say they do mention double standard in there for the most part, but they don't mention the number and in which men are victims of women rape for the most part. That's basically all I have for you. Enjoy your day. Be blessed. This was basically CDC statistics on rape.